Good evening. I am Smethels, your steward, and, if I may say so, it is good to see you up and about. You've been in your cabin the whole voyage. A touch of the mal de mer, was it? Seasickness can be quite unpleasant, especially if it's one's first crossing. Since you haven't been out of your cabin, may I instruct you on how to get assistance while on board the Titanic? Very good. We of the White Star Line hope that your stay on board Titanic is as relaxing as possible. As you explore the ship, please bear in mind the following advice. The mouse is your hands, the keys your feet. If you find the screen too dark or too bright, follow the directions on the control screen help panel or consult your manual on adjusting your monitor. To find the control panel help and other features, click on the life preserver at the bottom of the screen. The control panel has a help button, as well as a quit and save game feature. You may also adjust the volume. Test the settings by clicking on the black knob. You may also switch the theme music on or off. After making any adjustments, click OK to return to your current game. Wandering the ship, if you notice a hand, it indicates something to click on. May I suggest you do so? Several personal items in your room, a brown satchel, and a pocket watch are quite useful to you during your voyage. Take them with you. You shall want to converse with other passengers. If you fail to understand them, click on their face. They will repeat their last sentence. The purser. His office is on C deck, just off the forward grand stairs. The elevator, or lift as we call it, has an attendant who can direct you to various sections of the lifts are located behind the forward grand staircase. Lastly, you may always find me by returning to your cabin, C73, and ringing the bell to the right of the door. Your correspondence. 2,200 on board, and they all want messages delivered promptly. Even if it is 1912, and the Titanic, the most advanced means of sea conveyance ever devised, I still have only two hands. Here, a map of the ship for you. Compliments of the White Star Line. I have taken the liberty of indicating your cabin, C73. Of course, on a Sunday evening at this hour, there won't be many people out. Will there be anything else? A young lady. A most insistent young lady. The electric camel. An exercise device. They say it is good for the liver. I wouldn't know. It's located in the gymnasium, on the boat deck, on the starboard side. That's the right side, in case you had not been informed. Port. If you're facing towards the front of the ship, the left side is the port side. Have you unpacked? You'll find your trunk key in your bag on the bed. And remember your personal effects, your watch, and if you require additional assistance, please ring the bell by the door. Good night.
Majesty's government has assigned an agent of the Crown to rendezvous with you on board the Titanic. Remain in your cabin until your contact gives you further instructions. After completion of all your assignments on board, Book passage to remain on the ship and return to Southampton for your next assignment. For a more in-depth report of the international situation in the spring of 1912, please review the white paper included as part of this briefing. That is all.
Glory be. It's about time. You're late. Another 5 minutes and I'd have cancelled your mission. What a botch-up. Some idiot in the War Office booked me into second, not first class, and I've had a fine time of it too. The crew wouldn't let me in the first cabin at all. It's just today I located you. Look at this. A German colonel named Zeitel. He's inspecting their embassies in Havana, Washington, and Mexico City. We know better. 10 days ago, the Bureau got word that Zeitel has in his possession a priceless copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, stolen 2 months ago in Paris after its purchase by a very highly placed member of His Majesty's government. The Rubaiyat's a book, a collection of medieval Persian poetry, a passion of his lordship's. Poetry. Persians. The German High Command must think it's important enough to have their top man smuggle the lot on board. It's your job to find out. His lordship's watching this very closely. Very closely indeed. I wouldn't fumble this chance either, unless you fancy spending the rest of your career in some grotty Midlands back office shuffling paper about. No, he's with a protégé, name of Heidelitz, I believe. The two spend a great deal of time in the Café Parisien, nibbling pastries. Get into the wireless room. I don't know or care how. Officer Morrow wouldn't let me in. See if Zeitel's received or sent any telegrams about the Rubaiyat. You've got a cryptograph in your trunk. It'll unscramble the German codes. You use the brains God gave you. Watch people. Listen when you find the Rubaiyat. Knock on my door. Cabin F, 34. Use the second-class stairs. You should be set. Remember, this is your big chance. Don't fail.
After all this time, it's Georgia. I'd heard you on board. Where have you been? It's been 5 years. I'd have waited a lot longer to see you again. Why didn't you tell me where you'd gone? Dina hadn't a clue, nor did Jack. My letters were returned. Just like you to show up now, with everything such a beastly mess. You must help me. You've no doubt heard the rumors. I won't deny most of them. I can't. Even if the money's gone, I won't give the diamonds to Charles. These are all that remains. My insurance for a new life without Charles or Saoirse. Saoirse? The owner of the Barbican Gallery? We're friends. Of a sort. He's sailing on the Titanic, taking some paintings to New York to sell. Please. I mustn't talk any longer. Take it. Take the necklace. It's my only chance now. Keep it for me. And don't tell Charles you have it. You can't know what he's like.
Come here. Don't you love the sea air? Really clears out the sinuses. Max Seidelman, Philadelphia, PA. Buyer for Haymaker's department store. The Sharpie of Spruce Street, they call me. You a sporting type? You look like the sporting type. Come on down to the smoking room for a nightcap. Riviera's looking for someone to play a few hands of blackjack with. What do you say? Not much else to do. Not tonight. Brrr. Cold as a cast iron commode. So, what do you say? Great. First, let's swing by the Parisian Cafe. There's a man there named Zeidel, a German. Claims he's a business, but he's got something up the sleeve, all right. I know the type, believe me. Dollars to donuts, he's in some racket. So come with, why don't you? We'll hit the smoking room from there. Hey, Colonel, how you doing? Willie? Like you to meet
A pleasure. Hedelitz and I, we welcome diversion during such an uneventful passage, don't we?
Certainly.
Willi is at the University of Vienna, dissecting children's fable.
Cultural mythology, it's quite interesting. So only a junior professor, I tried to interest Dr. Freud. He's a genius, and I...
Yes, I am sure, quite. On the passenger list, it says you embarked at Cherbourg. Yet I have not seen you with the others. You were there, were you not? I see. You are British. Not so many of you in Titanic's first cabins. These days, most of the rich are Americans. Businessmen like Max. Tell me, why do you go to New York? I'm envious. Unfortunately, my work does not permit me to indulge in the pleasures of the leisure class.
The theory of the leisure class? I have read Professor Hedwin. He's quite good.
Quite. Me? Inspecting our embassies. Imperial Germany desires to make a good impression in North America. Willi is continuing on, to the west, to conduct research on Aboriginal custom.
The Indians, they are fascinating.
Yes. However, I place faith in science, not super...
The Colonel was saying this wireless stuff's revolutionizing sending messages to each other. It's the end of books and newspapers.
Like the Titanic, a technological triumph. Here we dined in comfort while racing along at 20 knots. Yet still tied to the outside world by the wireless.
That reminds me, Colonel Seidel, when I go to send you a telegram, they told me it was to be there are too many messages. The passengers...
I am sure our guests do not care to hear a detailed discussion of your encounter with telegraphy. Now, if you will excuse me...
Please, excuse us.
Won't you call on us tomorrow? Here, in the cafe. The Linzer Tort's quite passable for a British ship. Stop by. Willi and I welcome it most heartily.
Yes, most heartily.
And before I leave, you must allow me to give you some advice. But do not wander the ship. It is not good, I think, on a ship as big as the Titanic. Good night, friends.
Good night.
See? What did I tell you? What did I say? Them too. Up to something, I'd say. The brainy kid gives me the creeps. What a grind. He should hang out with that little blonde. She's a looker, I tell you. Come on, let's hit the smoking room. I'll introduce you to Riviera. What do you say? Okay, I'll be up in the smoking room if you change your mind. Goodbye.
Daisy Cashmore, surely you remember. Oh, you are naughty thing. Don't think I didn't know you'd snuck on at Cherbourg. Smethels told me all about it. The old boy's always dripping with news. Heard about Lord and Lady Lambeth. Ruined utterly. Scarcely enough left for appearances, I'm told. I always liked Georgia. Married Charles for his name and his fortune, sensible girl. But she's made her nest. Now she must live in it. Well, what do we think? Gorgeous, isn't it? Everyone's raving, gushing. The Titanic couldn't be more fabulous. And the sailing couldn't have been more convenient. Everyone's here. The Astors, the George Wideners, the Countess of Ross, such a wonderful girl. The Strausses, I saw them on D-deck tonight. The Ryersons, the Henry Harpers. I could just go on and on. And the ship's so very advanced. I was just saying to my dear friends, the Carters, they're bringing back a motor car, do you believe, in the cargo hold. Bill Carter checks it daily. Really, every day he keeps the keys with the purser. And of course they let them. The Carters are fantastically rich. Lucille doesn't understand the attraction at all. With men and machines, I tell her, we girls play second fiddle. Well, my dear, I have a little favor, a tiny one. Tonight at dinner, a man I don't know was making eyes at me. Be an absolute darling and find out who he is. Look him up in the passenger list. All I know are his initials, GQC. The list's someplace. Find it. I'll wait right here. Ta!
Yes, can I help you? Perhaps. As purser, I'm in charge of the Titanic's passengers. Have you a name? If you do, I can tell you their cabin number. Let me check. Aha, Mr. George Quincy Clifford, A27. I live to serve. Very good then. Good night.
Did you get it? Get his name? Clifford. Clifford. Never heard of him. You don't suppose he's rich, do you? You're an angel. And I've news for you, too. While you were gone, Andrew Conkling's been asking for you. Yes, Conkling, the steel bearer. God knows what he's been doing in Europe. Buying it, probably. Where was I? Oh, yes. Andrew Conkling asked me to pass along this. You know his wife Beatrix, the designer. Such an eye! Her clothes preserve the bust line. Couldn't be more flattering. Keeps the eye moving. Much nicer than Worth's. They're friends with Captain Smith. Smith! So handsome, so dashing. White Star's best officer, or was. He's retiring after this voyage. Couldn't be more tragic. My dear, you've blanched. Bad news? Certainly, certainly, I must... It's Mrs. Burbank! Consuelo!
Hello. Don't think we've met. I'm Leyland Sachem Trask, metaphysical scribe and evangelist for the supernatural. I've been in London attending a conference on premonitions among the sensitive. Sensitives, or psychics, possess increased powers of perception. A gifted psychic can take a personal effect from a complete stranger and tell you all about them. There's a range, of course, but given the right training, psychics can reveal information hidden to others. This is a ship of destiny, which I think you know. You know, a medium told me the only danger in my life would come on water. Salt or fresh, he did not say. Damn it all, I wish they'd be more specific. That pipe's been someplace quite humid recently. I'd visit the Turkish bath. Good luck. Good night.
Evening, I'm the lift attendant. And you'll not find one better at taking you where you want to go. Where to? Mind the gate. Did you attend a party last night on D-deck? Seen the Lady Georgia did? Noticed those diamonds round her neck? A bloke could be set up with those, and her. Pity she's unhappy. Her husband always arguing with her, like just now. She's gone outside on A-deck. Almost there.
Oh, say, what's your step?
Are you hurt, Hen?
No harm done. No harm.
I'm so sorry.
Trod on my toe.
We're the Ghost Joneses from Haltwhistle, you know. How are you finding the crossing? You're English, then? I would have thought American. Oh, my. I didn't mean to insult.
Can't hold a thought.
Dreadfully large place, America.
Brain like as if...
All that space and all those immigrants trying to fill it up. I was just commenting to Henry. On a White Star crossing, one meets all the right people. While we were just chatting with a delightful elderly couple in the reception. The Strausses.
Own a small dry goods store in New York somewhere. Called Macy's.
On D-Day.
Ribena, must you always finish my sentences? You're as jumpy as that American chap, that photographer.
Yes, he was just snapping away.
Taking pictures of some German colonel and that Englishman.
Snap, snap, snap.
War's coming all right, mark my words.
War? How beastly. Will Mr. Burns have to fight? He and his wife, such sweet things. But I do see her point. It is their honeymoon. Why he insists on snapping those photos, I haven't a clue.
For God's sake, woman, talk, like a madam in a Rangoon bawdy house.
Henry, that's unspeakable.
So don't speak then. Yaps louder than a scrum of rabid corgis. Now see here, this Burns chap.
If you want to see something interesting, take a look at his pictures. He's on C deck, cabin C, 78.
so. Mind the gate. Up a bit late, aren't you? Just like Mr. Conklin. He's a night owl. Just a little ways.
A fine night to be indoors, cold as the dickens outside. Cold but clear. Clear as a bell, and the stars, oh, you should see 1,000,000 stars in God's firmament. A congregation of light. The name's Trout. The Reverend Edgar. I'm returning from a mission in Africa, to Sunapee, New Hampshire, where I live. Emily, my wife, she's dead. Thank you. We had looked forward to this journey. But she died at Port Said, though it was Nyasaland that killed her. The doctors, you know, never did find all the parasites. Calling on Miss Pringle, she has been invaluable this voyage, a pillar. Oh yes, we're very glad she's with us. They say you met Trask. Be wary of him. Trask's a trickster. Take this card, a prayer card, from my own collection. So you must like it, this section of the Titanic. Here, second class. You can get to Scotland Road from here. Do you know it? Scotland Road? Scotland Road runs the length of the ship, from stern to bow on Eden. It allows the crew to get from one side to the other quickly. I could go to third class if I take the Scotland Road, but I don't believe in social mixing. No, it creates too much anxiety. A place for everyone, and everyone a place. Though some don't choose to see it that way. In the course of my ministrations, I've observed a gentleman from first class, a young German, among the steerage women. Most unnatural. I haven't said anything. I wouldn't want to upset the ladies, especially Miss Pringle. She seems a fragile vessel. Behind me, through those doors. Wait, before you leave, I was wondering, perhaps you'd care to make a donation to our mission in Nyasaland. I am very happy. Tomorrow we will discuss everything. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Conklin. Good of you to come. I trust you're finding the accommodation satisfactory? You're welcome. White Star's anxious for everyone to be as comfortable as possible, particularly on the maiden voyage. Sorry to seem mysterious. You must understand someone in my position, an investor in this ship, needs discretion. You're under no obligation, of course. I have a slight problem. You may be able to help. A servant has stolen an important business document from me, and I must recover it. A few years ago, my wife Beatrix hired a young Irish girl as maid in our London house. We treated her well. 2 weeks ago, she up and left without notice, taking a certain letter with her. I'd given up all hope of recovering it, until my wife spotted her this morning on the third-class promenade. Needless to say, I checked with the purser. She'd been scheduled to sail on the Philadelphia, but those passengers were transferred on board the Titanic because of a coal strike. Yes, you could say so. I I'd prefer to employ the services of a third party. You. Government officials, friends of mine, told me a bureau agent was on board. I found you through Mrs. Cashmore, a preposterous woman. But she does have an eye for accomplishment. Look, will you help me? You will be rewarded handsomely. Her name is Shayla Hacker. She's 20 or thereabouts. I was her benefactor, one might say. Yes. This puts me in a difficult situation. This young woman, she could cause considerable damage to me, to my reputation if she goes to the newspapers. I've gotten word to her to meet on the poop deck. Go in my place. Tell her there'll be no trouble if she returns the letter. Afterwards, report to me in our suite, B59. Her name is Shayla Hacker. Good night.
Brilliant. You've got the drop location. The boiler rooms. Blast. There's an entrance to the lower decks around here somewhere. Query the lift attendant. He's cheeky, but he knows. Intercept the Rubaiyat before it changes hands.
Passenger. I can't regulate the steam for boilers 1 and... So I don't have time for you. You're where you shouldn't be. Get up top before you're kicked up there. Oh, with White Star, are you? I'm glad I've got some serious problems with this control panel. Oh, I doubt it. She's really acting up. See? Still working the bugs out. See for yourself. Have at it. There's a gauge showing the turbine's power up. The needle's got to move into the green zone. Over here. Right smart you were. She's running much smoother now. Say, since you were so interested, go on, have a peek in the engine room. She's quite a sight.
You are a passenger. Excuse me, I would speak with you. Forgive me, I am sorry to intrude on you, a person of such high station. I am Vlad. I have men. I am leaving my home. I am a Serb and they have killed my wife, my children. The Austrians. For that they will pay. But I do not want to burden you. Please, I need a favor. I have a friend in first class, in cabin A14. Mr. Barbican has a package for me. Can you bring it here? Me enter first class like this? No, they would catch Vlad. His name is Barbican, in A14. Tell him you've come from Vlad. He will give you the package. I wait here for your return. Your assistance will be repaid manyfold.
What did I tell you, Shay? I knew he'd not come in person.
Hush, Jack, hush. Conklin, he did send you, didn't he?
I told you, it's a trick. I knew Conklin wouldn't come. He sent one of his cronies instead. I'm her brother. And Conklin, because of him, Shayla's had to leave everything and everyone she knows.
Jack, don't.
That son of a bitch. She was his maid and all the time violating it.
Hush, Jack. I'll have no more of it. Go on, Jack, say it.
You tell Conklin we have his letter, and he'll not be seeing it till he coughs up a tidy sum, too. 5,000, do you hear? Dollars. Enough to get her started right. And if he moves a hand against us, I'll make sure the newspapers get the letter and print it. So tell Conklin. 5,000. Measured against what he has, it's a bloody bargain.
Meet us here again. At 1 tonight.
$5,000, then he'll get his damn letter. Agreed?
We'll be waiting for you.
You found him. Sasha Barbican of Barbican Gallery. Now, what is it that I can help you with? Our history is quite complex. Certainly. Georgia's a woman who does not go unnoticed. Georgia exudes a certain romantic paranoia, a condition, I fear, worsened by Charles' own romance with whiskey. Continuously. One hears there are financial problems. They say Charles owes Andrew Conkling thousands of pounds. Georgia, have you talked to her? You be the judge. She's accused me of outrageous deeds, libelous practically. I'm part Slav, you see, a Serbian on my mother's side. Georgia finds such a mixture a source for wild stories. Not much anyone can do, I'm afraid. George is in clear need of a rest. For Vlad? He's on board? Please come in. He did it. I told him not to, told him I'd pay his ticket, but he was too proud. Such a tragedy about his family. They were with my mother's people. When Austria took Bosnia, they were killed. Many were. With his family dead, America seems as good a place as any for Vlad. Ask Vlad, I don't know. Here, his things. You'll be glad to get them. It's rather late. Good night. And don't believe what Lady Georgia says. She's not well. Enjoy your voyage.
Charles received a telegram from the solicitors. Our estate's to be sold off. He asked about the necklace I gave you. I told him I left it with a purser. Don't say anything to him or Sasha. Not him and his group of... Oh, there's much more to tell you. Can you meet me in my stateroom? I'm in B70. It's Charles' custom to go for a drink in the smoking room. When he does, visit me.
meet you earlier. However, my wife and I were calling on the Astors. Madeline's pregnant. Beatrix was thrilled. We have no children. I see. It's a ransom. May I present Mrs. Conkling?
You should pitch the ungrateful girl overboard. Your clothes, French cut, quite fetching. Delighted to meet you.
Beatrix is on her way to California. She's got a new project in... Where is it, dear?
A cow town, someplace called Los Angeles. I'm doing up a little resort there. It's called the Beverly Hills Hotel. So, where is the Irish tart? Dreaming of her newfound riches?
We were just talking about that, darling.
My husband and myself extended every courtesy, showed every kindness to Shayla. We've no children. Shayla became quite dear to us, so her theft hurt us all the more for the trust we placed in her. Don't fail us. Now, excuse me, I must retire. I have a frightful headache. It was a pleasure. Good night, Andrew.
My wife felt strongly about Shayla. As I've told you, we've no children of our own. Look, you must get that letter. Don't wait until tomorrow. See if you can speak to Shayla directly, without her brother. She's in the third-class cabins forward, on F deck, number 59. Good night. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Enter. I wasn't sure you'd come. Andrew Conkling? He's loaned money to Charles. A lot of it, I think. First, I want to know how you fared these last years. Rather well from the looks of you. I'm glad to see you. You're the only person I can trust. Please promise me you'll help. You always were there when I needed you. Now, with my life a horrible mess. When Charles discovered my affair with Saoirse, he was quite calm. But I know him, you see. His revenge is taking the necklace, leaving me with nothing. And so I'd never trust him again. Don't you see? They're looking for guns, for bombs. At a party last June, Saoirse was quite passionate. A Slavic trait, I'm told. His mother came from Belgium. I fell in love. We used to meet at his gallery, but we were never alone. They'd come at all hours. Saoirse's friends. His gallery was their London base. They were rough men, foreign. Saoirse told me they were part of a Balkan aid society. Stupid girl that I was, I believed him. But then I found out. These people, they... Charles!
Please, Georgia, continue. Was it my title or my income you found so desirable? I was never sure. Now that both assets are depleted, why don't you go to Saoirse? Maybe he can help, as he's done before.
Ignore him. I see the smoking room's had its usual effect.
Idle gossip, apparently.
You see his attitude? Please, go.
Since she obviously can't depend on me. Here, take the chill out of the air. Thank you for seeing after my wife. Now I think it best you leave the happy couple, drowning in their happiness. Good night.
Remember, I need your help.
Have you seen Georgia? Don't care for me much, do you? There's much you don't know. Let's discuss it over a drink. Shall we, then? God, much better. Bartender, a whiskey and soda. Yes, much better indeed. Now... Georgia, afraid of me. Well, that would be a reaction at least. We no longer evoke emotion in each other. We're husband and wife in name only. You may have heard I am in financial strait. I've borrowed money from Andrew Conkling, money that he is now demanding I pay back. I've none to give. Poverty should remain the domain of the virtuous. I've no taste for it. To tell you. No, I shall fix things first. And without Georgia. Another drink? Another whiskey for, Hope you don't mind if I do. Now, you, want to know some secrets. Thank you, bartender. I'll tell you one. George's diamond necklace. It's a fake. The one on her neck, leastways. I gave the real necklace to Sasha. It's in his cabin for safekeeping. When he gets to New York, he'll sell it, quickly and quietly, for a 20% commission. I'll pay off my debts to Conkling, put Georgia away, sail back to England free and clear. She's unstable, as you know, so I'm placing her in a sanatorium. An easy thing to do, given her emotional history. The law favors the husband in these matters. She can do nothing about it. God forbid the suffragettes really do win women the vote. They'll never know their place again. Because I threatened to tell Scotland Yard about his Serbian Aid Society, and because Sasha's a greedy bastard, he'd betray his love for 20%. And Georgia thinks she's outsmarted. No, she's got a fake about her neck and doesn't know. Another? Good night, then. You'll sleep well. The whiskey and the sea are both smooth for a change.
Thank you. I must see Mr. Barbican. I've bad news. He will not be happy. I am looking for something. Something very important. But it's not here. You have seen a small... It is of no importance. Good night.
What have we here? The fancy dress ball's upstairs, mate. Ready? Check out the toff. Well, they're a fine sight prettier than your ugly. Better company, too. Off with you.
Did you get it? Did you find the Rubaiyat? Smashing. What have you learned? More art? Zeitel's no connoisseur. No, there's something about that painting of interest to the German High Command. I don't have any information about Vlad, but the other fellow, look here. Zeitel's Titanic contact is a London art dealer named Sasha Barbican. They say he smuggles art, and he's not above selling stolen merchandise. The files say he's Serbian, interestingly enough, with links to some shady Balkan groups. Let me see. That's the Rubaiyat, all right. Well done. Leave it with the purser for safekeeping. It shall be undisturbed there. The painting's what Zeitel's really after. You must secure it. Where or how, I don't care. Just find it and bring it back here. Remember, leave the Rubaiyat with the purser for safekeeping. He might also know where the painting's. Sneak a peek at his cargo manifest. That should help you find the painting. Cargo stored somewhere beneath the forecastle deck. Things are thickening up quite nicely, aren't they? We've got to get our hands on that painting. Don't fail.